All right, good morning, everybody. So looking at our trade plan from last night, we do have to update these levels because we are down quite a bit from where we started. Looks like our lower targets around 64 and 36 are basically being hit. Let's go ahead and raise our trade plan level here. Let's say, well, funny enough, there's not really a great level to lower this to. We could lower it to that overnight low around 64. It's not a very strong level, to be honest. Yeah, let's go ahead and lower it anyway. I don't really like this level too much to lower the trade plan to, but there's not really another level we can choose. So we're going to use this, not overnight low, the low of day of yesterday. And then on the upside, we will use that 900 level. And then the 56 level as well. And downside, let's see here. We're going to use that 36 level and the 75 level. So normally I like to use value levels here. That's why I don't like this level too much for the trade plan, but it is the low of day here. So staying above that, back into yesterday's value, possibly rotating it. Staying below that continues this push down. We have prior value at 836 and 775. So keep an eye on that. Right now, I would say we are a capital B. We're building that secondary node on the downside here, so it will give us a bearish imbalance. For NASDAQ, I'm actually going to keep the trade plan exactly the same because we are still relatively close to that value level. So holding above or below that 856 level, holding below it, we extend that value downward. Holding above it, we go for the retrace of yesterday. Sellers still looking pretty strong right out of the gate here, holding on to those EMAs. VWAPs are pretty far away, so if we do start climbing, just keep an eye on that, possibly retracing to VWAP. There are no point of origin levels nearby for the local price action for the downside, because we are just nuking. This is one of those moves where it feels like we're already late, even though the day just opened, right? The pre-market is kind of dictating this move, and they have been dictating this move since like 7 a.m. So this sell-off, this impulse started at 7 o'clock. 30-minute highs being protected ever since. And now we are pretty extended inside of that move, not seeing any major pullbacks so far. Daily still looking pretty bad. We are very far below the daily trail. It has not flipped red yet, probably very close to flipping. You're still kind of in that potential trap area where you could bounce right back and reclaim it, kind of like you did here. But this is like pretty far for a trap, so it should flip relatively soon. Daily trail being lost on ES as well. There is a pivot around 788, so keep an eye on that. $30-minute lost a pivot on that 7 o'clock sell-off, which was a very good pivot from yesterday's low of day. Failed the trail 5 times actually, before nuking. Same thing on NASDAQ, failed the trail 4 times. Like I said, little bit extended. You can see that purple shading coming in on the 30-minute Momo telling you that we do need to cool off a little bit. Where is that weekly trail coming up? We're actually on the weekly trail. There it is. So we are on the weekly trail for NASDAQ. For ES, it is around 750, so we have a little bit more support. We have not lost the weekly trail since June. That's how strong this sell-off is so far. We had a bottoming pivot back in April. That was that tariff bottom. And now we are testing the weekly trail for the first time since April. Here's that bounce that I was talking about. A little bit extended. Needs to cool off a little bit. Very strong delta coming in on the buy side, mostly on NASDAQ. Still seeing a major lack in liquidity. They are allowing it to blow through these levels very quickly. There's basically no fight in these levels whatsoever. We're seeing an average of less than 20 contracts, sometimes even less than 10 contracts per tick here. So definitely not looking too good. I think the big like macro reason that we're seeing so much pullback in the last few weeks, few months, is the AI headlines have really started to die down. And I think people are really starting to get tired of the circle funding, the circular funding that keeps going on. with the OpenAI and Microsoft and Google and Facebook. And you saw a couple of major companies make some pretty poor statements about OpenAI and these rounds of funding that keep going on, and how it's basically just not sustainable. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Scott, Tachi, Ordinary Banana, Julio, Leo, Ken. Let me pin the trade plan for you guys. There you go. Como, Tamer, Larry, Angelo, Jose, Metis, Igor, Ike, Destiny, Greg, JC, AT, Lulu. Good morning, Morris, Peter, Titus, Music, Lube, Mary, eBay, Wilfred, Trader, Lori, Ali. Good morning, Sam, Darius. Good morning, Emperor, Ram, Scott, Trevor, Roman, Future, and Adriana. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. Look at the level 2 orders coming in. The liquidity is just absolutely terrible. When liquidity is this bad, you can lower your size and basically achieve the same notional value as far as like your targets go. So like if you're normally looking for, let's just say a random number, let's say $500 profit in a trade, you can get that a lot easier on a much lower size because of the liquidity problems, because it is allowing them to move around so quickly. So when you see liquidity like this, where it's a blue order, blue order, blue order, and you have price action like this, where it's just moving so quickly, you don't have to trade your high size. Okay, earlier we said keep an eye on VWAP if it does start to pull back. Here is VWAP. VWAP at 905 and 880. You want to Chuck, Faraj, Tom, Orion? We have Jolt's data coming out at 10 o'clock, and that is pretty much it today for the calendar. Memory prices, like the DDR for your computer, soar up to 90% in Q1. Server grade RAM from 450 million, I think. Let me see. Sorry, not million. 450 to $900. potentially exceeding $1,000 next quarter. That's per component, obviously. Google not having a great day. It is down. Let's see. It's actually recovering a little bit, but down from the earnings yesterday. Here is VWAP, by the way. Keep an eye on VWAP on ES going back to 880. Price gets a little bit stickier when it gets close to VWAP. That's about it. That is a pretty red heat map. That's just built into TradingView. Should be on their homepage or something like that. Bouncing off that 836 target. That was the target from yesterday. We actually kept it for today. Next target was 775, going back pretty far. That goes back to early December. Trying to recover yesterday's low, so keep an eye on yesterday's value if it does continue here. You have that capital B formation, so if they protect VWAP, they're still very bearish. Failing VWAP, you just barely didn't touch it by like a point or two. We'll see if that front run continues. They would have to lose this lower node here at 66. Yeah, there's many different ways you can find value. You can find it on the pre-market. You can find it on the cash session. You can find it on the full session. You can do weekly profiles, monthly profiles. There's no like right or wrong. You just gotta find which one fits best with whatever type of trading you're doing. Like swing traders would obviously prefer using higher time frame profiles, so they would use daily profiles or weekly profiles. Hopefully the liquidity gets better after the JOLTS data at 10 o'clock. Because this is even worse than earlier this week. Looks like you actually want to test VWAP here because that last pullback is bouncing off that ADMA. More nitro. Still respecting VWAP here as long as it stays below 79. The buyers are doing a really good job protecting this node around 74. So it's hard to pull back on VWAP. You do have data coming out in less than 10 minutes, so keep an eye on that. There are no settings for VWAP. It's just default. I have one anchored to 9:30 and one anchored to 6 p.m. the prior day. Still rolling off VWAP here. You lost the upper portion of that node at 74. Lower portion at 66 here. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Just this tiny move here from VWAP back to that node is nearly 20 points. So you don't need to be trading like massive size right now. Like this move here from VWAP to VWAP is 20 points. Jolts data in about 5 minutes here. This is Rhythmic data, so I'm getting VWAP. These VWAPs are from Rhythmic, but they should be the same on every platform. Maybe within a point or two. You're approaching that conservative target of that prior low. The more aggressive target would probably be somewhere around 40, 35. I mean, seeing that it's already up over 20 points, this could be a conservative target as well. Yeah, it's just a standard VWAP that pretty much everybody uses. There's too many things, there's too many variables that go into like volume profile and VWAP. So when you guys say that like yours is different than mine, I can't really help you. There's There's too many reasons why that could be the case. Could be different data, your settings could be messed up, your time zone could be messed up. It could be starting from the wrong point. You could be looking at MES compared to ES. You could be looking at a CFD contract. The broker could be calculating it differently. There's just too many variables. That's why I don't help you guys with stuff like that, because I literally can't. I simply just use the most used VWAPs. The one that starts at 9:30, the one that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern the prior day. That is a session VWAP. Daily VWAP would be like the cash VWAP, 9:30 a.m. As long as you're anchoring them at the proper points and you're looking at ES, they should be the same. If they're not the same at that point, that's where I can't help you. Too many variables. A big mistake a lot of people make is they use their indicators on the micros and they wonder why their indicators are not the same as mine on the stream when I'm clearly looking at ES, not MES. People don't understand that the micro is not just a one-to-one replication of ES. It is a completely individual market. It's its own thing. It's its own entity. It's just the value of those contracts are designed to be 1/10 of the big contract. So that's a big mistake that people make a lot. They do it on oil and NASDAQ and ES. They just don't understand how futures fully operate. And they don't know that it's a completely individual market. Which is why volume profile can be very different, because it's completely different volume. VWAPs can be different volume again. It is quite literally, just think of them as completely different. They're just designed to be based on the same thing. So the market makers do their job. It's called arbitrage. And they keep them within like a point or so of each other. But if the market makers stopped doing that, it would be a completely, it would be its own thing. It would be its own market to be moving individually. But they're never going to do that. Okay, VWAP trade is pretty much textbook. There's not really anything crazy about this one. It is doing exactly what we always talk about, bear flagging into VWAP. You hit VWAP on that candle at 950. You actually swept VWAP, making it a little bit strong there. And then we always talk about one smooth motion back down to that prior low. That is one smooth motion. Doesn't get much better than that. And here is that 10 o'clock data coming out. 6.54 million. They were looking for 7.25, so much lower than expectations. And all of your targets on that VWAP trade are now being hit. Yeah, very common for platforms to allow you to chart one thing but trade the other thing. So you can chart like ES, but you can trade MES. If you're trading MES, I would just do what I do, where you have everything on ES, but then just have like one little window with buttons or chart trading or whatever on MES. Just make sure that you're not accidentally trading ES. Which, if you're on Tradeovate, you can go into the settings and make it so you physically cannot trade ES. It will only allow you to trade whatever you tell it to. Yeah, it was a hard one to take going into the 10 o'clock data. You're not wrong about that. You did have a little bit of time. You had about 10 minutes, which in this market is pretty good because you can move so quickly. If this was a much slower market, I would have been a lot more worried about that 10-minute window. But a 10-minute window right now, I mean, look at how much we're moving in 10 minutes. This market just doesn't care. There is just absolutely no liquidity right now. Like I said, I'm not too sure what the market makers are waiting on. We've already had like all the major stuff recently that would be a reason for them to be worried. We had the government shutdown being passed, the funding bill, I mean. We had all the major earnings. We had all the major data coming out. We had the FOMC. I'm not too sure what they are waiting on or what they're scared of. It definitely doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you feel safe in the market right now because they are clearly worried about something. It could also just be like a cool off period. They're just finally letting it pull back. A lot of profit taking. Yeah, it could be Iran. Doubtful though, because that happens like all the time. That's like a never-ending event. This seems more like there's like a report or like some kind of bombshell report coming out about like the AI companies and how poor they're doing or just something along those lines. How all this open AI funding was bullshit the entire time. Like something like that. This seems like there's like a rumor going around with the big firms and it's just not made public yet. But I'm just completely speculating, right? I have no idea. What do you mean gap down? I don't see any gaps today. No, I don't look at macro stuff too much. The only macro I look at is the calendar, the daily reports that come out, the data. I'm not a macro trader. I'm not a swing trader, so that stuff doesn't affect me too much. I don't look at ZN, but I look at the 10-year yield, which is basically the exact same thing. I didn't see silver getting killed today. Silver down 15%. Back down to 74 after hitting 120. Bitcoin down 6%. We're just in a sell market. Is everybody scared? Everybody's selling everything? which is normal. We had such a long run up. We're starting to get to those dollar cost average levels on crypto if you're more of a long-term investor. We're down 46% off the prior high. Typically, once it starts hitting 40%, -50, -60, you can start dollar cost averaging and you hold on for like 2 to 3 years. That's been the cycle so far. So if the 3-year cycle continues, we're entering that territory where the buying is reasonable. %50 would be around 63, 65,000. 60% would be around 50,000. So somewhere around 50 to 60,000 would be a decent long-term hold. Yeah, you're referring to like a SPY gap. I don't use SPY gaps. So there's technically no gap today, because if you look at the overnight, it's one smooth motion. And there's no bulldog here because there is no double bottom here. Very bottom heavy candle. That VWAP sell was absolutely perfect for the most part. Little bit choppy on NASDAQ, but absolutely perfect on ES. It doesn't get much better than that. You had one candle come up and wick VWAP and then just nuke. Your trails have been aggressively protected as well. Look at the 5-minute highs. Look at the ADMA. See if it can hold above that ADMA. The aggressive trail would start getting taken out. The passive trail is around 45. Even if you're trailing this upper node here, that's around like 41, 42. Delta has been pretty unreliable recently as far as cumulative delta goes. You've had a couple of decent divergences here and there. It's hard to trust the delta when the liquidity is non-existent. The delta strategy that has been doing very well recently is the one that I talk about, where if price is going one way the entire day and delta's going the other way the entire day, you see those really strong closing spikes. We saw one of those on like Monday or Tuesday. We had a little bit of one yesterday. Oh yeah, you guys who were having issues with the free trial for Addis, they said they got it fixed, so let me know if you guys are still having issues. if you guys signed up for one of the student trials. Yeah, that bear div wasn't bad. It has some moves that are pretty reliable, but it's just overall, it's not going with price most of the time. More Lucio. Okay, so our lower targets here, 36 target has been hit already. We don't have another target until 75, so it does have room to fall here. You could look for like the 500 level on NASDAQ, 715. Sorry, 715's already hit. Look for 500 and then 307. Yeah, very clean here, just losing value. $36 target hit. You could possibly look for somewhere around 800 and then 75. These are very old levels. We have to go back all the way to December 17th to get some levels here. And then going back to November. You're seeing why I leave my levels on my chart, because I wouldn't want to have to do this every day where I go all the way back to November and find the exact day that we're retesting. My chart looks ridiculous on a daily, but if I go down to lower time frames, I have all these levels ready. So I don't have to go back and mark them out every time. It'd be such a pain in the ass if I did that. It's also another reason why I use the continuous contract on TradingView, so those levels are just always where they should be. Possible single prints going back to 829, but we're only halfway through that candle. The trail on that VWAP trade is still being aggressively protected if you are leaving a runner. Yeah, I noticed Addis was having some issues recently. They seem to be okay now. It was having some like data issues. Five-minute highs being protected, ADMA being protected, damn near the 1-minute highs being protected. Very strong move. Well, as you can see on this chart, there is no cash. There is no cash profile. The cash profile will be much smaller than these. So all these levels are the full session closed profile. Liquidity is still terrible. A lot of buyers coming in here. Possibly finally taking out those aggressive trails. Keep an eye on the more responsive trails. You have the 24 EMA and the local node. So like local node, it's basically the same level. Like holding above 35. Here's that 24 EMA. Keep an eye on it. They're only removed once they're tested, like once or twice. It depends on how strong of a test it was. Look at the daily profile, or the cash profile here. Look at how many nodes we have. It's kind of insane. There's almost like no LVN today. The only LVN we have is like around 60. There's like a little LVN right here as well. It's pretty funny with how fast they're moving. You would expect to be large areas of LVNs, but there really isn't. You guys can find all my settings in the 4th and 5th video in the Apex series. Trail is still being protected pretty hard here on the VWAP trade. The aggressive trails are taken out. Passive trails still being held. Yeah, 70% is the standard. The only other difference on volume profile is typically 68% is like the secondary one. A lot of buyers at 18, then quickly jumping. Look at the tape there. It goes from 18 to 21 to 25. That is ridiculous. How quickly it is moving. Now, obviously, my tape is filtered, so there's a lot of orders that are happening in between that. But just with the large orders, seeing a jump like that is insane. It should be the first playlist on my channel. If you go to my channel, it should be at the very top. Becoming an Apex trader. If you guys are new here, be sure to watch that 5-part series. It answers 99% of your questions that you guys have for stream. It'll get you up to date if you guys are new. Yeah, Bitcoin's nearly at the long-term investment point, the cycle. Down about 50 to 60% is where you're looking for. People aren't absolutely panicking yet, so I'd say it's probably not the bottom just yet. When all the people start coming in and crying about crypto being a scam and it's the end of the world and it's never going back up and it's going to be going to zero, that's when you typically want to be buying. Fading the very emotional people. Trading strategy that works on pretty much everything. Okay, finally establishing a support node here, possibly taking out these more passive, responsive trails. EOC shifting down to the low here. Still will have single prints going back to 29 if they do not bounce back within the next 4 minutes. Yeah, I've seen that stuff. I really do not want to talk about Epstein on this stream. It really has no bearing on this stream. But if it's been popular on Twitter recently, I've probably seen it. You want a DMG? It already started happening. Yeah, people are definitely panicking already. You're not wrong. It's not like hysteria yet, though, where it's like everybody. Like, I don't think we've had anybody come into chat recently and cry about Bitcoin and say that it's a scam and going to zero. Once that starts happening, that's usually close to the bottom. We are getting pretty low here. We are losing weekly supports, monthly supports. Most likely going to create a large chunk of single prints here, going back to 29. Aggro, I would recommend watching my Apex series, especially the third video. It talks about VWAP trades. I also have numerous videos on the VWAP trade. It's probably, if not number one, it's in my top 3 of like most videoed setup. So just search VWAP on my channel and you'll have a wealth of content to figure that trade out. Definitely take a screenshot of today, because today was pretty much a perfect example of how that trade works. It doesn't get much easier than that. This is going to be a weird section of single prints because you actually have the POC inside these single prints. Normally single prints are LVNs, not the highest volume of the day, so a little bit strange there. Chinese billionaire that made $3 billion from his bullish trades on gold has placed the largest short on silver for $300 million. Yeah, TradingView's volume profiles are always slightly off of other platforms. I typically respect TradingViews. Single print's going up to 29. You have a bull div on Delta here, but you've had a bull div pretty much the entire way down, so doesn't mean a whole lot. Looks like we're in a fire sale where everything's selling gold, silver, Bitcoin, NASDAQ, ES, oil's down. Pretty much everything's down. Are we losing that weekly trail? Yeah, it's starting to lose that weekly trail. That's not very good. Holding below 800. We have not lost that trail since we flipped it back in April. Weekly on ES around 740. Where's the rotation going? Nowhere right now. There's basically nothing that's green. Couple of blue chips, Walmart, Costco. TJ Maxx, the retail basically. Procter and Gamble, Coke, yeah, safe companies. Costco just doesn't know how to go down. Costco back above 1,000 almost. Try to find COVID on Costco's chart. Costco is basically just invincible. Yeah, it's just a great company. They probably made so much money during COVID. You had all the like doomsday preppers buying up everything, and then you had all the they basically kept like lower income families alive during COVID because of their prices being so good. It's just an overall great company. Can't say many bad things about Costco. Costco is one of those stores you can go at any time during the week, any time during the day, and it's packed. Our next target is 75, which is basically one more push down here. Looks like those single prints are kind of acting like a magnet. It keeps trying to pull us back up. Yeah, I think Aldi's getting more popular. I don't think I've ever been to an Aldi. Maybe like once or twice. We don't have too many Aldis around here. I think we have like one or two. They're massive in Germany. Is that where it started? It started in Germany? Yeah, it says started in Germany, 13,400 stores in 18 countries. Single print still acting like a magnet. Keep an eye on that going back to 28 here. Yeah, funny enough, they have more stores than Walmart. Walmart's at 11,000. A lot of Delta coming in here. Yeah, Trader Joe's. I don't think we have Trader Joe's here. We might have like a few. You don't see them around too much. Might be more of a West Coast thing. Couple of single prints left going back to 28. You have 3 left. It basically lines up with a VWAP retest. VWAP is a little bit higher. Why do single prints attract price? It's mostly like an auction theory thing. You'd have to read Dalton's books on auction theory. Value that kind of needs to be tested is basically the easiest way to put it. Yeah, I think in our area, instead of like the Aldi's and Trader Joe's and all that stuff, we have like Harris Teeter and I'm trying to think of like what other things are similar to that. Maybe like Wegmans. Liquidity still not coming back even after that JOLTS data. Okay, single prints being beautifully repaired here. Keep an eye on VWAP. There is a very large gap between the VWAPs, so if it wants to test the session VWAP, it would obviously lose that trade on the daily, the 20-point gap. starting to one time frame a bit on the daily, which is definitely not a good sign for the buyers. Past 3 days, taking out the prior low, protecting the prior high. That's after we've been ranging for quite a while as well, so breaking out of this range. NASDAQ front running the daily VWAP here, just barely missing it by 20 points. This is more so a single print failure than a VWAP failure. You bounced up and filled those single prints to the literal tick. We were looking for that 29 level. There's 29 to the tick. So we are selling right after filling those in. And that's why we always talk about with the single prints, you don't know right away if it's just going to completely blow through the single prints or was it just pushing up to fill them in. Like this wasn't actually an uptrend forming, it was just filling in the singles. You got to see how it reacts. It's kind of like block trades where you don't know right away, you just got to see how they react to that level. And then obviously in this case, they reacted very poorly. Still, yet again, seeing that delta problem. So if they continue to go down all day, and that delta is continuing to go up all day, you might have another closing spike to the upside. We've seen it a couple times recently. What day was that really good one? Was it Friday or Monday? I mean, it kind of happened like every day. But there was a really good one here. I think it was Tuesday, where you had single prints way above. And then right into the close, it just pumped all the way back up and filled the single prints in. Same thing yesterday, closing spike to the upside in the afternoon. Possibly seeing that today. Oh yeah, by the way, for our raffle winners, I sent you, if you guys are in chat right now, I sent you guys friend request on Discord to get you added for your prize. But you have not accepted my friend request, so check your friend request if you guys are listening. I'll send you guys emails after the stream if you're not in here. Slowly shifting into a lowercase b where it's becoming pretty bottom heavy. Delta's still exploding off of the low here. It's up like 7,000 on the day, even though you're very red. Hey, have a good day, man. Yeah, Julio, I was going to email you. Your Discord settings don't allow me to send you a friend request. You'd have to change that in your settings. If you can't find the setting, I'll send you an email later today with an easier way to add me. So with a lowercase b, as long as they protect this lower node, you're going to extend that tail. That lines up with our 75 target. We don't have a target on NASDAQ until the 300s. This is kind of a little bit of a gap right here between our 700 and 300 target. I don't have the template online, but it's in Discord in the settings channel, and it's also on the last video, or the 5th part, I should say, of the Apex series. I go over all my major settings. I don't put my template online because I change my settings damn near weekly. I don't want to have to keep updating the template all the time for the stream. And for the most part, honestly, it's just personal preference. A lot of my settings are just like color settings or stuff like that. It's not actual stuff that changes the formulas or changes how you trade. Yeah, Julio, I'm going to try again probably in a few hours. So as long as you have it changed by then, you should be fine. I'll send you another request. If it doesn't work, I'll send you an email. I couldn't tell you, Chris. I don't trade crypto like that. I don't buy any crypto ETFs or crypto stocks or anything. I prefer to just buy crypto. I just buy it straight up. I buy spot. If you're in the US, the easiest place to do it is probably Coinbase. They probably don't have the best fees, but they're probably the easiest. You also have like crypto.com. There's a bunch of other ones. But yeah, I don't trade the stocks and whatnot. I don't really see the purpose. I prefer to trade the spot. So earlier I was talking about that daily trail on NASDAQ being likely to flip soon. It's actually flipping right now. So if we close bearish, it will be flipping. It has to basically be lower than what it is now. So if it closes lower than like 600, I'm surprised I'm not seeing more headlines about how bad the liquidity is just overall in the markets as a whole right now. It's pretty simple. Level 1 is just the best possible offer or the best possible bid. And then anything outside of that is level 2. Trying to put in a higher low here. Keep an eye on that 30-minute high. You haven't lost one so far. Awesome. Yeah, I'll send you another friend request here in probably like 30 minutes or so. You should see it. I mean, the liquidity is just abysmal. The fact that we're seeing level 2 orders like this pretty much every single day for coming up on 2 weeks now is kind of insane. You normally see this for maybe a day or two, goes back to good liquidity, rinse and repeat. Just not able to hold on to those higher lows, putting in a lower high here, possibly breaking those lows again. You can see that lowercase b being established here. They want to extend that lower tail, which lines up with our 75 target. Are there any smaller levels we can look for on NASDAQ here? Because it's not a big level for quite a while. Not really. The only other levels you would have are literally right here. You can see prices already testing that overnight high. The other level would be the overnight low, which is around 360. And then we have the value from November 21st, which we could grab this POC as well. Yeah, not really any other major levels there. Kind of a bit of a value gap. But here's that daily trail flip I was talking about. It has to stay below basically 600. And that's the first flip since November, but that was kind of a trap. If we cut out the trap, that's the first flip since April. We've been on a pretty strong uptrend since April. Trying to protect the low of this node here. Well, the difference is the block trades can push around the market a lot easier when the liquidity is low because they're grabbing so much of that liquidity. No, I don't have any range charts. The closest thing I have is a delta chart. Yeah, there is a poor load there. Very easy to repair. You're basically repairing it right now. Yeah, Maverick, they said they fixed it. Did you receive an email or anything? Can you send me a new email with your the email that you signed up with? And I'll double check it's the same one that I sent to them. Yeah, they said they double checked and they fixed the issue. They did fix yours? Okay, good. Yeah, double check the email you sent me. Might be an error on your end or my end. I might have put it in wrong. Still seeing that buy pressure off the low here, trying to protect that lower tail. Yeah, it's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to give you a full 30 days for the student side. Keep an eye on VWAP at 32. Yeah, that's the same one that I gave them. And it says that your trial is extended. So I'm not sure what the issue is on that one. Did you try to sign in again? Like, have you tried to sign in on Addis? All right, keep an eye on VWAP here. It also lines up with that 30-minute high, which we have not been able to take out the entire day. 30-minute highs are being protected. Yeah, you should just be able to sign in with that email, and it should show under your license that it's a student license. Keep it on 32 here. Okay, here's VWAP. We'll see if there's any reaction here. This is the daily VWAP, which is typically a little bit weaker than the session VWAP. You got it, Maverick? Okay, good. Not really seeing a strong reaction on the daily VWAP here. Keep an eye on the session VWAP, or possibly one of those cupping traps where it kind of comes back down. This is pretty typical for a lowercase b. You're trying to pull back into that value high. As long as they protect the value high, it should extend that lower tail. Yeah, it's a lowercase b because that's what it looks like on the profile. You have a long upper tail, a lot of bottom heavy value, and then you don't have a lower tail. So as long as the sellers respect the value high or around the value high and keep pushing it down, they want to push that tail down. PC or laptop, that's basically just personal preference. As long as they're strong enough to control your charts and whatnot, which most of them are. I'm assuming with PC parts nowadays getting so expensive with like the video cards going up and the RAM prices and storage prices going up, it's probably more cost efficient for a laptop. But then you have to like add on extra monitors and stuff. So who knows? Session VWAP and value high lining up here. Keep an eye on those 5-minute lows. The sellers need to take back control here. Yeah, I usually do a bunch of research and find like what the best parts are and whatnot. And I buy a PC like every 3 to 5 years. I try not to constantly update. I think I bought this one 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. Which, funny enough, has probably gone up in value, which is not something that normally happens with PCs. You're not seeing as strong of a reaction like you did the first time. You basically instantly tapped VWAP and then sold immediately. Very similar reaction. Tapped VWAP here, coming down, but obviously not as strong. Still holding on to that 80 MA. You need to lose this 30-minute low pretty much right away. You're just not doing that right now. Even the 5-minute lows are being protected. It's a very strong trend on that 80 MA. It's not letting any candles stay below it. Getting a bit more bearish delta on NASDAQ, still not able to hold below the 80 MA. But alright, while it's reacting here, we'll get the close of this stream going here. We're already at 100 likes, so I appreciate that. We'll do a quick giveaway, and then we'll call it a stream. Give me 1 second. Alright, same as always, if you guys want to win a free Apex account for 30 days, pick a random number 1 through 50, just pick one number. If you guys tie, I will do a tiebreaker. Make sure you guys are up to date on the stream, press that live button. Make sure you don't have a large delay so you know if you won. Make sure to have your email ready. If you do win, I will have to confirm your email to send the code. If you guys are heading out before the giveaway, I appreciate you being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. If you're in Discord, I'll be streaming in Discord for the rest of the day as well. Give you guys another minute or so. Slowly rolling off VWAP. You don't have that quick reaction like we had the last time. Keep an eye on those 5-minute lows. Losing the 30-minute low and the 5-minute lows should help it come down here. Watch that 24 EMA at 38. All right, last chance. Pick a number 1 through 50. Just pick one number. Gonna roll in a second here. Let me double check nobody's cheating. Mick, you've picked 3 numbers. I would normally ban you from the giveaway, but I'm just gonna use your last number. Don't do that again. That goes for everybody in here. Don't pick multiple numbers. It's real simple, guys. Don't try to cheat a simple ass giveaway. Last number I see is Mick. Number is 33. Let me know if you guys won. I will confirm. I do see a 33. I see you, Roman. It doesn't matter if it was taken. I'm doing tiebreakers. If you guys keep spamming numbers, it makes it a lot harder. I see you, Roman. Is there anybody else with 33? I don't see anybody else. I think it might just be you, Roman. No, I see one more. TLE, are you still here? I think it's just you two, TLE and Roman. TLE, you also chose 2 numbers, so unfortunately I'm just going to give it to Roman. Is there anybody else that picked 33? I think it's just you, Roman. I think you're good. All right, Roman, let me give you my email here. There you go, Roman. I know you're in the Discord, but go ahead and send me an email anyway so I can keep it all in one place. and then send me your YouTube name, and I'll send you a random number. Yeah, guys, please don't make these giveaways a headache. I'm just going to stop doing them if they become a headache. I try to make it as simple as possible. It's always a problem I've noticed throughout my years of streaming is I want to give back to you guys for providing so much support to the channel using the code, subscribing, liking the videos, watching the videos, etc. I want to give back to you guys in the form of a giveaway. But unfortunately, giveaways on the internet seem to bring out the worst in people. So yeah, like I said, if it becomes an issue, I'm just going to stop doing it. I got you, Roman. Let me send you a random number here. And then go ahead and type that in chat. Okay, we're stuck in that little dead zone here between the two VWAPs, kind of bouncing back and forth. Keep an eye on this daily VWAP at 33. It's holding you up for now. I got you, Roman. So the next thing I'll send you is the promo code. It will give you a free account for 30 days to sign up for any size. Doesn't matter if it's Trade-Evade or Rhythmic or whatever. And then before the 30 days is up, just be careful because it will start charging you. I think it's like full price or half price on the second renewal, or I guess technically the first renewal. So go back to the brew code before it charges you full price. But alright guys, keep an eye on these VWAPs. We are bouncing back and forth between these VWAPs. If you do stay above this session VWAP, you are breaking that lowercase b and possibly pushing back to that high of day or towards the upper node. Because it was kind of a capital B earlier, so we have a pretty strong node around 66 to 70. So keep an eye on that if you do hold above VWAP. But alright guys, that's all I got. I'll see you in Discord for the rest of the day. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody.